Hi guys, welcome to Multiverse. Some of you guys have been asking if I could make videos about Marvel characters, and more importantly, if I could show how to make those characters. So I thought we could start with our friend, the Wolverine. Some of you guys may remember the very first DC Universe Online videos I made were with a Wolverine character. So we kind of come full circle by starting with our friend, the Wolverine. In order to sort of recreate the mask, like this is as close to the original version of the character as he appeared in the pages of the Incredible Hulk in his very first appearance. For the mask, I went with the V-Devil mask, but there's a few slimline masks that you could use. Basically, you can use the slimline mask that you prefer. Again, here I went with the V-Devil mask. Originally, it didn't have the big mask, like the big flappy ears, but we're going to recreate that version in just a minute. You can see a few variations in the back, as you can see that. For the chest piece, I went with the Archer chest piece. Sadly, there's no chest piece where you can have sort of the tiger stripes that Wolverine has to the side of the chest piece. So the Archer chest piece is about as close as we can get to recreating our friend Wolverine, at least for now. For the shoulders, I'm using the Spindrift shoulders. For the pants, I'm using the New Genesis pants. The boots, again, we don't really have boots that kind of look like the classic Wolverine boots. But the tall classic boots are about as close as we can get right now to sort of the motif of our friend Wolverine. And of course, the belt is the clasp belt. And for the claws, there's two ways that you can sort of recreate the Wolverine claws. Here we're seeing the first way. So to recreate the Wolverine claws, if you're using martial arts, you can use the Gleaming Claws. These are claws that you can get in the Gotham Under Siege vendor. So if you go to the Gotham Under Siege, there's this little robot that sells a whole bunch of gear. And one of the gear that he sells is some Gleaming Claws. So if you purchase the Gleaming Claws, you can see exactly what the claws look like. They're a little shiny. Sadly, there's no way to remove the shine. I thought I could be clever and use the silver, but sadly the silver covers the whole gloves. If the silver could cover only the claws, that would be perfect. Sadly, it's not how it works. The other option for the Wolverine claws is to simply go with bare hands and to use the Tech Ninja gloves. So if you go bare hands and if you use the Tech Ninja gloves, this is what your Wolverine character will look like. Both options aren't perfect, sadly, so the Tech Ninja gloves is a good option. The Tech Ninja gloves is a good option if you have a low-level character. You can get the Tech Ninja gloves pretty early in the game, but if your character is a bit high-level, then you could decide to go for the Gleaming Claws. So this is about as close to the classic original version of the character as we saw him in the pages of the Incredible Hulk. Again, there's a few masks that you could use instead of this one. This is the one I decided to use. The second time that we saw the Wolverine, it was within the pages of Giant Size X-Men #1. His costume was pretty much identical to how he was in his first appearance. The one exception was the mask. The artist at the time, Dave Cockrum, who drew Giant Size X-Men #1, pretty much gave him a slightly different mask, which was much bigger than what he had in the Incredible Hulk. In order to recreate that mask, the Batwoman mask is kind of perfect for that. If you want to know how to get the Batwoman mask, I have a video specifically just for that, so look through my videos and you should be able to see how to get the Batwoman mask. Then later on, when John Byrne became the regular artist in the series, again, the costume pretty much remained identical. The one thing that kind of changed was how the mask was drawn. That doesn't exactly recreate the way John Byrne was drawing the mask, but again, within the context of DC Universe Online, this is about as close as I was able to get. This is the Huntress mask, the Vigilantes Justice mask. You can get it playing the Tier 5 iconic Huntress mission. Basically, you have to gather like 4 collections, 4 briefings, if I'm not mistaken, 4 or 5 briefings, in order to be able to get the mask. So if you use that mask, you can get pretty darn close to recreating a pretty darn good version of our friend, the Wolverine. Again, the biggest drawback is the chest piece. There's not really a chest piece that really looks like what Wolverine was using. At some point I was using the streak slimline chest piece, but sadly as you can see it covers the arms. Usually Wolverine didn't have anything covering his arms, but the kind of black bits on the clavicle kind of sort of mimic or sort of suggest the tiger stripes that Wolverine had a bit. It's not very accurate or very close, but again, within the context of DC Universe Online, I guess this could kind of do. Although there are a few variations on the Wolverine costume that are pretty actually closer to the comics, to some of the comic version. Let's take a look at those right now. One version of the Wolverine costume that you can recreate that is pretty darn close to the comic is a version that Wolverine had within the pages of X-Force just like a few years ago. This is pretty darn close to the look that Wolverine had within the pages of X-Force, and it's pretty easy to reproduce. Again, you have to use the Huntress face mask. Pretty much any slimline headpiece would do the trick. It's pretty much the tall classic boots, but the chest piece is a slimline chest piece, and the pants are the two-color slimline pants. And pretty much everything, the gloves are the same, and the belt is a clasp belt as well. Ah, poor Crypto. So this is pretty darn close to one of the versions of the costumes that Wolverine was using when he was in X-Force not that long ago. Another version that we can recreate from the comic that is pretty darn close to the comic version is a version that that Jim Lee gave to Wolverine for just a short while. Again, he's using the classic slimline chest piece and the slimline pants. But the one thing that we're using that is pretty darn spot on for a Wolverine character is the Ra's al Ghul hairstyle. Or it's just the Al Ghul hairstyle. I have a video specifically about that hairstyle, so if you want to know how to get it, go look at that video. But then everything else is pretty much like the clasp belt is the same. For the claws, again, you choose either the the Tech Ninja gloves, or the Gleaming Claws. And the boots are the nuclear boots. But there's any number of boots that could be used to recreate that look. So at some point when Jim Lee was drawing the X-Men, he pretty much gave the classic X-Men costume to all the X-Men in the book, at least for a short while. It didn't last very long, it lasted maybe a handful of issues at most. But for a while, all the team had pretty much the X-Men themed costume. And of course, as you can see, the Ra's al Ghul hair, perfect to recreate our friend, the Wolverine. And of course, if you really want to, there's always the movie version, which is fairly easy to recreate. Again, we have to use the Ra's al Ghul hair. For the chest, the tank top does the trick well enough. For the belt, there's any number of belt. I went with the square buckle belt. For the pants, obviously, these are the jeans. The only drawback is the gloves. You have to use one of the gloves, either the Gleaming Claws or the Tech Ninja gloves. So that's the one thing that really doesn't look like the movie version of the Wolverine costume. And for the boots, any number of shoes can do the trick. It's not perfect, but it's pretty darn close to recreating our friend Wolverine from the movies. I guess you could try to go with the street jacket if you wanted to try to recreate the Wolverine version when he's wearing his sort of leather jacket. Doesn't really look like it, but sadly, within the context of DC Universe Online, this is about as close as we can get. There's a couple of jackets that you could try to use, but none of them really do the trick. I went with this one because it gives the illusion that he's wearing the tank top underneath the jacket. Sadly, in order to be able to have the t-shirt or the tank top white, I have to have a whole bunch of white on the sleeves, which kind of ruins the look a little bit. But if you really want to recreate the movie version, the tank top is probably your better option. And again, with the Ra's al Ghul hair, perfect for a Wolverine character. So that is pretty much it for recreating our friend the Wolverine within DC Universe Online. I will probably try to make a few other Marvel characters fairly soon if I get the chance. I had in mind to recreate maybe a video with a whole bunch of X-Men. I almost did that some time ago, but I ended up doing something else instead. But I might do a video about the X-Men, but before that I'll probably do an Avengers video to sort of match with the current Avengers movie that's in the theaters right now. Although I do have a few Avengers related videos in mind that I will try to do soon. I guess we'll have to wait and see. So that's pretty much it for now, guys. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comment section down below, and I'll see what I can do about answering your questions. So that's it for now, guys. So as always, thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.